Welcome. My name is Emma Anderson, and I'm here to present to you about the Puebloteca project that's going to be proposed at the Mario Umana Dual Language Academy this school year. So the Puebloteca project is a community engagement and student empowerment and curriculum enhancement tool that's going to use a lot of the technology we already have available and all of the culture and the richness that our students bring to school. So let me explain the Puebloteca project to you, please. I've got a few quotes to get the juices going. Stories create community, enable us to see through the eyes of other people, and open us to the claims of others. So I used this quote to help introduce the project because I think it has a lot to do with what we're trying to do with the Mario Umana Academy and how this project could help us. So our school is special because we are a bilingual school, which means we're resting on those three pillars of bilingual education: biliteracy, bilingualism, and biculturalism. We've established as a school community over the past couple of years that biculturalism is something that we are still dying to meet. We've also taken an entire year to talk about abolitionist teaching, anti-racist teaching, and all the ways we need to be more culturally relevant and have our students represented more in what we're teaching them. So what the Puebloteca project is a database or a web page, a place where you can find a collection of personal narrative stories and interviews that were made by and for the teachers, students, and families of the Mario Umana Dual Language Academy. Okay, so if you think of something like StoryCorps, the Moth Radio Hour, any types of things like this where people are simply owning, refining their stories, sharing them with each other, it's hugely empowering. We all have stories, and a lot of what we teach students is through story. Curriculum is stories, but their lives are also stories that can help them place themselves in the bigger world. I'm going to go over the mission and the vision of the school and talk a little bit about how the project fits in. So the mission of the Mario Umana Academy, it's a school where we believe believe in the core values of respect, responsibility, perseverance, curiosity, and community. The mission is to develop the whole child, and we've got a bullet list I'll give you time to look over on your own. But what specifically stands out to me here is we're preparing students to face change by fostering their abilities to adapt and create. Owning your story is going to help you see where you fit in. Hearing the stories of your family and of your peers' families and seeing how they're similar and how they're different from others is going to help you see where you fit in the world. We also see empowering families and collaborating with community members to support and enrich the educational experiences, instilling virtues such as honesty, compassion, and empathy, continuously learning and working together. So I see the Puebloteca project, the cultural shift in our school, where we all start thinking of how we can use technology to record and digitize and share more of our stories. I see that fitting in with meeting all of these mission goals. Okay, the vision of the Mario Umana Academy. Again, we're talking about global citizens. We won't talk about people who are culturally and linguistically diverse. The Puebloteca project is a literal opportunity to amplify student and community voices. I think that a lot of times this particular population of students, over 80% of whom speak a language other than English at home, can find themselves underrepresented or can feel isolated in a lot of curriculum. Even if their school is full of representation, maybe the actual content that they're learning isn't. And I know with a lot of the new curriculum that we've been introducing over the past 2 years, that there's a lot of space to add in things that are relevant to the students in front of you. This is a tool to make that happen. Okay, so the Puebloteca will help us meet our mission because it does all of the following things. Student voices are amplified, families will be engaged, we're going to be analyzing and crafting oral and written narratives, we're going to increase the culturally relevant learning resources, empower students as storytellers and history makers, and help our school community relate our narrative to the world. So what I see here too is the possibility of using these stories and interviews that students and families and teachers record as primary resources. Instead of reading passages that are within a textbook, why not go onto the Puebloteca page and look up stories about immigration, stories about whatever the topic may be. Another thing that we're going to be working on as we roll out the project and as we become more familiar with this way of digitally organizing things, um, we want to be able to have it organized with things like hashtags with topics so that there's different ways to navigate through the content that we do have. Okay, so just to make everybody feel better, the Puebloteca is optional. It's easy to use. It's going to be a tool that's available to everybody, and it is not mandatory. We're not asking you to learn another curriculum or gather any more data. We're not going to make you use it. We just think that this would be a really fun, meaningful cultural shift that already utilizes the one-on-one technology we got over the past year through the coronavirus, as well as the heightened parent communication we have via phone, via Chromebook right now because of that momentum from the pandemic time. Okay, so here's just a few little examples of how you could use the Puebloteca project as a teacher. During a unit on immigration, a teacher could guide a class developing a list of interview questions to give to a family member or a neighbor. They can record and upload the to the Puebloteca page, and now this becomes part of the database of content that we as a school have. Okay. We're going to be offering monthly prompts on the page. So when you arrive to the page, you can see video tutorials to help you get the gist of how to record the audio and upload it. You can even browse through monthly prompts for inspiration. Each month we'll have a theme or a prompt to get people into participating. There will be suggestions for interview questions and different options for viewing and uploading content. All right, so another way to do that with your class is to check in on the monthly topic and do a few story circles around it and see if any kid really seems to be enjoying this and would want to take it a step further and craft an actual narrative. Okay, having all of this data as well, it's a place that kids can go when they're working independently. So if a kid's in class working independently and wants to visit the Puebloteca project page, they could be looking up a story, dissecting it, analyzing it, all kinds of practice with language arts and bridging as well, because the nature of our school is going to mean that the entire Puebloteca exists in Spanish, English, maybe Portuguese, maybe Arabic. There's a lot of options in our school community. Okay. Interviews at home with families, with grandparents, all of these can be uploaded. Younger children inventing play stories. Any of this can be included in the Puebloteca. Okay, so this is a really, really, really great opportunity for our school to use our existing technological infrastructure to really create a multicultural school culture where it's clear to our families and clear to our students that their stories are the most important stories to us, and that their stories give them superpowers in this bigger world at large. Okay, so to get to some of the more, the logistics of how it's all going to work, this project is going to be taken under the umbrella of our Family Engagement Committee, which is already staffed. There's going to be one member that's the point person for the Puebloteca project. Okay, there is an extra $1,000 stipend for the leader of the project yearly, and ideally we would want this to change year after year, so this stays a project that's owned by the entire school community. If you'd like to volunteer for no stipend without being part of the Family Engagement Committee, that's totally option. That's welcome all the time. So what happens is that you have a weekly commitment to review a certain number of submissions and to view a certain number of feedback. And who knows how much we'll even be getting at first. So that's going to be a weekly commitment that you do on your own time. And then there's going to be a monthly meeting where we can make the schedule for review for the upcoming month, discuss any feedback we're gaining, choose a topic for the next month, see how everything's going. what the weekly commitment of reviewing is going to be important, because the way that stories are uploaded to the Puebloteca project are going to be through any type of audio file that gets uploaded onto the web page. So it could be coming in from a phone, from a Zoom video with no video, a voice memo. There's all different types of things. So this is probably going to be the biggest learning curve, is the technology of making it a format that can go onto the page, and then staff listening to stories, and obviously combing for appropriateness, but also trying to make sure that no super important personal information is going to be shared. BPS has student and staff online codes of conduct that we'll be reviewing as a team. To analyze any further issues, any things else we may need to address. So professional development will just take an hour at the beginning of the year to introduce it, and then we want to use video tutorials and small tidbits of information in our weekly staff updates to really get people used to using this project a little bit at a time. Like, maybe this week try this, next week try this. There's always FAQs and places to ask questions to the Puebloteca team that we'll be reviewing weekly. So any type of professional development that happens in an ongoing way would be totally needs-based. And then finally, we would like to have a kickoff event to really get families and students and teachers excited. And ideally at that event, we would have different setups where people would be invited to start sharing stories, and we can collect as much content as possible for the launch of the project. Those who tell the stories rule the world. So to finish, this is extremely important, because the ancestors of the students in our school have not always been the ones to tell the stories, although they have endless stories to tell that can teach us all so much. So what we want our students to know is that their stories are worth telling, and that their voices are worth hearing. That their families and their struggles, everything that they've gone through, is meaningful and valuable, and makes them who they are, and helps make them a superhero. So I hope that the Puebloteca project will be something that empowers students, families, and community, and amplifies our voices in a way that can really improve student and community outcomes. Thank you.